Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Shadow Clan Den. I'm ShadowRaven, and today I am going to be doing something a little bit different. I have seen this kind of a challenge floating around the internet for the past couple of days. It is called the Strip Down Challenge, and from what I've seen, the rules are you sit down, you don't edit your video, and you have to talk for at least 10 minutes. Now, the 10-minute factor for me really shouldn't be an issue for anyone who's seen any of my other videos. Actually, for me, keeping it short is one of the biggest problems I have. Oh, hey, if anything, and this one, this one's just, I guess it's, well, it's a strip down challenge. I just sit here and talk about whatever's on my mind and all the fun stuffs, I guess. Of course, it's, there's going to be all the pauses and such, and all my flaws are going to come glaring into the light. But I guess that's kind of what this thing is about. Where to start? Pizza and tacos, I guess. I don't know. I don't do it much in the videos. I don't know if I ever will, but that is actually one thing that's kind of funny, is somehow, when I started the job that I'm currently at 3 years ago, within the first week, the word tacos just randomly started popping in my head, and I have been saying it ever since. The pizza part was added about a year and a half later, and now for some strange reason, I still don't know why, I just do it, but I will just randomly say pizza and tacos, or just pizza. I have no clue why I do it, but I do it. I can't really say I know anyone's, what anyone really thinks about it, but it's just some weird thing that I have a tendency of doing. I really don't, as I said, I have no clue how that started. But it just happened one day, and I really don't know why. Oh wait, man, hey, there's something else. That's definitely something, and this is gonna bounce around. I have ADHD. It will definitely show. I'm sure it shows in all the other videos as well, but it's definitely gonna show in this one. I bounce around from tangent to tangent. I can get so off topic, and somehow I'll get all the way back where I started, and nobody knows how. And yet somehow I'll still be able to connect all the tangents and how they fit together. It's weird, but it's how my brain works. But I guess this one, it's kind of relating back to the whole, what do people think of me? I care too much. I think that is probably one of my biggest flaws, is I care way too much about what people think of me. And it causes, I guess it kind of causes some issues, I guess would be the best way to say it. Because I care too much about what people think of me, I try to change myself in ways that I might not be comfortable with just to make someone else happy. I guess I've been kind of doing that for my whole life, so I guess I don't really know who I really am. I've actually had some of my friends tell me that they know me better than I know me. I have absolutely no issue believing that, because it is probably true. Unfortunately, I don't really know much about myself. I kind of know some of my passions are, but that's probably all I really know about myself. That, I've had a lot of self-esteem issues. I think that one might actually be kind of obvious why from the videos, but physically speaking, I have never been what I would consider attractive. I have always been overweight. It's something that I have been fighting off and on for several years. I'll take several months and I'll lose, say, 25, 30 pounds. 3 months later, it's right back, plus an extra 5 or 6. And I know part of the problem is genetic. Most of my family is a little on the heavier side. At least 3 of my family members have undergone gastric bypass to resolve this issue. So for me, part of it is genetic. Part of it is, when I was younger, I stress ate a lot. I'm still to the point where I am trying to, I've cut back on that a lot, and I'm very proud of myself for that. But it is something that I am still fighting to this day, and I have a feeling that's something I'm going to have to be fighting with pretty much my entire life. And another thing with the whole weight issue is that when I was 15, I was diagnosed with something called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. This is, unfortunately, there's not as much research on it as there should be. And this is not, I mean, they call it polycystic ovarian syndrome, but I don't really think that name is entirely accurate, considering that it doesn't just affect, it doesn't just affect your ovaries. It affects a lot more. I mean, it can affect it affects you physically, and it's not, as I said, it's not just your ovaries. That is where part of my weight problem comes in, is PCOS actually makes it easier for you to gain weight and a lot harder to lose it. And that's definitely one of the biggest problems. Another one is infertility. And for me, this kind of sucks because I actually never thought, when I was 15, I was told that because I had PCOS, the likelihood of me ever having kids was slim to none. So the fact that I have a son who will be 4 in January is kind of a miracle in and of itself. We are actually in the process of hoping to try for another one, but because of my condition, I don't think that's really going to happen. Actually, there's a possibility. There is a way that it could happen, but I would have to get under a certain weight, and as I've already said, that's hard enough to do as it is. But, maybe if I can get lucky, maybe I can get the right kind of healthcare and follow the footsteps of some of my family elders and, undergo and get surgery. I think that might actually be the only way to make any kind of weight loss for me possible. I gotta say, I have tried so many different things. I mean, way back when I don't even remember how old I was, but I wasn't even a teenager yet. But when the Atkins diet first came out, they had a trial run, and granted, this is when I was a kid. This is back when I lived in Colorado. Unfortunately, I don't live there right now. We have many plans to move back. That's going to take a while because it's, financially speaking, we're poor people. That's why we use the simplest of equipment for this. We do plan on upgrading, but financially, it's not possible at this moment. But back when the Atkins diet first came out, I actually was, I want to say I was maybe between 6 and 11. I was still a kid, and they had an Atkins test. It was basically like a test run. It was a study to see how well it worked. And here I am, a kid, and I qualified for it. Yeah. I was still in elementary school, and I qualified to be a participant in a weight loss study. Really big self-esteem blow when I stop to think about it now. And it really has, and unfortunately, things really haven't changed. I mean, I didn't really have friends growing up because of my size, and also I was really kind of reclusive as a kid. I was a major bookworm. And I didn't really work well with other people my age. In a sense, I kinda got out of that, but not by much. I'm not very good with younger kids and such. I'm okay with my own, but other people's kids, I don't know how to talk to them. I don't know how to interact with them. And I guess, another one of my family members, she was the same way. Before she had kids, she wasn't all that great with them, and then she had her own kids, and for her, it changed for all kids across the board. For me, and I'm fine with Shadow Scream, but any other kids, and I don't know how to talk to them. I think that kind of stems from the whole, I don't really know how to change the way I talk to someone. It's also one of the reasons that I adamantly refuse to participate in any kind of training at my job. It's also why I will not take a promotion. It's because I cannot change the way I talk. Once I learn how to do something, and once I learn the lingo for it, that's it. I guess I can, but it is so hard for me to take something that I have already learned and explain it to someone else in a way that they'll understand it. I guess I've always had this kind of issue. Maybe that's why I always was, the teacher's pet kind of kid. But I think that's maybe another reason I never really got along with my peers very well. I didn't actually have what I would call consistent friends until my senior year of high school, and this is a school that I only went to for 1 year because we did a lot of moving around and such when I was growing up. I mean, I think I counted. I think I went to 13 schools between kindergarten and my senior year of high school. 15 if you add on the 2 colleges that I've been to. But we moved around a lot, and part of it was due to medical reasons. My mother, who I absolutely love, and I really appreciate all of the support that she's given me over the years and such. She's been dealing with a lot of personal issues and such since she was about 18, I think. And I feel really kind of bad because, she's a great person. I absolutely love my mom. And I feel really bad because even though I knew about the depression and such that she's been going through, Mom, and I know you're probably going to end up watching this later. I know you probably don't really want me to air this, but it's a stripped down challenge and this is what came to my mind. So I apologize if, this hurts, but, or if this offends you or anything. So I do apologize in advance, but it came to mind and it is kind of relevant, I guess. But, she's had some, she's had her issues with depression. That's all I'm really going to say about it. But I feel really bad because when I look back, granted, I could be wrong. But when I look back, I feel like I ran the household from the age of 6 to the age up until I was 16, and I was a little hellion. I honestly, when I look back and such, and it's like, I feel it's like even though I knew about what my mom was going through, I may not have understood it, but I knew that, it's something, I knew that there wasn't something that was quite right. And when I stopped to think about it, I think I just made it worse. I don't know if I made it worse or not, but sometimes when I look back, I feel like I did. And I feel really, really bad about that. And I think, part of my current self-esteem issues, along with all the weight and such, I think is when I look back and I realize how crappy of a daughter I was. I've recently been trying to make up for that, and I might be succeeding. I really don't know. But it's just, it's something that's kind of, it still bugs me. When I was a kid, when I was a kid, it didn't make any difference. Now that I'm older and hopefully somewhat smarter, I look back on that and it's like, honestly, it's like, the timeout thing never worked for me. I'm just like, I kind of stop and think, and it's like, I kind of wish my mom had spanked me. I know why she didn't, but at the same time, it's like, I look back and I'm like, I was not a very disciplined child, and I'm pretty sure that most of that was my own fault, because, both me and my mom kind of have this, thing, and she's not as, I'm not really sure which of us is, more of this than the other, but I am a doormat. It's something that I would love to change, but I can't seem to bring myself to. I think this is kind of in conjunction with the whole caring too much about what people think. Because of that, I do pretty much anything to avoid upsetting people, at least intentionally. So because of that, I am definitely a non-confrontationalist. I hate confrontations. Actually, if I get into one, it's almost guaranteed that I am going to back down. Even if I know that I am right, I will back down just to avoid any potential kind of fight that my mind can come up with. And that's actually where a lot of it comes from, is most of it is actually all in my head. And that's actually where I get a lot of my issues, is that I have a tendency of blowing things so far out of proportion. And I imagine like 200 scenarios, none of them are good, all of them are worse than the last one. And even though if it might not actually end up being anywhere near that bad, it's just the fact that all of these came up within a matter of minutes. And because of that, I will admit, I basically kind of live in fear. I know it's my own fault. I know it's all in my head, and I don't know how to stop it. I could list the number of ridiculous things that I'm afraid of, and I'd probably get like, why are you afraid of that? I don't know. I really don't. I'm afraid of some of the dumbest things. I think probably one of my biggest fears, and it's one that I don't really know if there's anyone else that has this issue, but I am terrified of powerful emotions. It sounds so weird, but it really is. And I'm not talking about just, you know, anger and rage. I'm talking like really powerful feelings, like really powerful love. I don't know why, but it terrifies me. It's like, to me, any kind of powerful emotion just has this kind of like pressure that just pushes down on me. And it's all, I know it's all mental, but it's like the certain, you know, there are powerful emotions that just, they feel physically, I can feel them pushing on me. And it feels like it's just trying to condense me into a ball, and I can't handle it. So I end up throwing up these mental walls, and because of that, I actually end up blocking a lot of stuff out. And it's kind of that's, as I said, I think that's probably one of the weirdest things that I'm afraid of. But it's, you know, there you go. I mean, that's probably one of my weirdest fears. And as I said, I don't know if anyone else has that particular kind of fear, but I do. And, you know, considering that when I really stopped to think about it, and I've realized this many times over the past several months, is that I basically live a life of fear. I am afraid of all these really stupid things, but because of it, it causes me to have an unnaturally high stress level, so my body is in a constant state of tension. And then, of course, when I hear loud voices, or I hear, even if it's, you know, someone raising their voice, I start getting nervous, I tense up, and my body is already a naturally high, and you know, my body's already in a higher state of tension than it should be. I physically cannot relax. I have tried. I have been in this state of unnaturally high tension for so long, for so many years, that I literally cannot physically relax. I can relax for maybe a half a second before my body just tightens right back up. I can't do it. I think the most relaxed I've ever been was when I underwent acupressure as a child, and that was the last of it. It's like after the whole procedure was done, and I don't even think I got to the door, and my body had just seized right back up to, you know, its usual level, and I can't relax. And it stems from the volume of fear that, you know, my mind has created over the years. And I live a life, you know, I live my life in fear because of the way my brain works. You know, it doesn't work that way for everyone, obviously. But for me, I think it's a combination of, you know, I think for me, it's a combination of I think it's, you know, the nature and nurture combination. I think a big part of it is just the way that I perceive things. All my perceptions and such. For some reason, I just seem to think that everything is, you know, has this potential to be so much worse. I guess I would kind of list me as a pessimist. But even, it's like I try to be optimistic, and there are times where I can be, especially about things that I'm really passionate about. I'll be, you know, I can be positive, but for the most part, I think just because of my potential for thinking negatively or fearing the worst case scenario and turning the worst case scenario into the worse than worst case scenario kind of thing, it's actually, I think it's kind of difficult. Man, I'm saying way too much in this. I just realized that. That's kind of embarrassing, especially when I took speech class to prevent that kind of thing. Well, that was a semester down the drain, unfortunately. I learned, but I didn't apply. That's another thing I have, where I can learn something, but man, I seem to have trouble applying it unless I'm really super passionate about it. Maybe that's one of the reasons I'm kind of interested in competitive battling, because that's something that I'm curious to learn about, and it's, you know, it stems from one of my passions. I mean, that's, you know, Pokemon is one of my passions. Maybe that's, you know, for some reason, and then, you know, if I had the ability to learn a language, I probably would. I mean, I've tried learning Spanish several times. I think the reason I haven't mastered it yet is because it's just not something it's not a language that I'm truly interested in learning. You know, and even, I think, frankly, I would actually rather learn Japanese. I've, you know, been interested in learning to speak Japanese for quite some time, several years as a matter of fact. So if I could actually learn it, and if I actually had the time to sit down and try to learn it, and actually had the money to get a program or whatnot that would assist with that, because the books don't work for me. I don't learn just by reading. I actually need to hear the differences in the sounds and such. So Rosetta Stone would be really nice if I could get it, but that's kind of pricey. But I guess overall, yeah, I don't know. I guess when I really stop to think, I get some kind of a weird blend of different thing. Oh yeah, that made a ton of sense right there, didn't it? Yeah, this is definitely starting to go downhill real quick. Well, that's, I guess that's kind of okay though. Bearing your soul to the world via the internet. Yay, internet. Okay, yeah, there's issues there. Yeah, I think that's probably about it for now, at least. But I think the one thing I can say is that I would love to find a way to not be afraid, or at least to minimize that impact that it has on my life. I don't know if I'm ever going to. I'm even nervous about recording and such on cameras. I usually take about 3 to 4 minutes to just kind of psych myself up just to hit the record button, and it's something I don't know if I'll ever outgrow that. I might not, just because I'll have to. I think part of it is because I would have to actually establish a particular ritual before I feel comfortable. That's another thing with me, is I kind of base things around some there's some things that I do that I have to do I have to do something just the right way. I guess there's probably just a hint of OCD in there. Like at work on the register, we have touchscreen registers, and I always, after every single transaction, and I've actually had a couple of my employers or coworkers and such ask me about why I do this. I really don't know, but I actually tap the screen in 3 different spots in the same pattern every single time after pretty much every single customer. I don't know why I do it, but it's just something that I guess I just randomly started doing it, and I have to have my screen on the same. I actually have to have my register on the same screens at all times. The only exception is if I have to change the screen up a little bit for a certain type of order, but then I always have to get it right back to that other screen. Otherwise, it drives me nuts. That's why. I have to have. There's some things where I just have to have just the right setup. Things have to be in just the right order. I have this thing where I'll count, but everything has to be in odd numbers, because if it's even, then it doesn't make sense. Well, it does, but it doesn't work into my systematic arrangement of how my counting things go. Wow, I really have absolutely no clue where this went. There's the tangents for you. I started off, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get back to the beginning. I figure I probably won't. But, actually, I think at this point, I'm probably going to wrap this up, just because this is starting to get just a smidgen on the long side, as most of my videos will most likely do. But, I think, if anything, the only thing I guess the only other thing I can really say about this, and I really should have said this at the beginning, for some reason I completely spaced off, but this was actually inspired by 2 different YouTubers. Shadypenguinn, who actually did his on his brand new channel, Shady Life. Go subscribe, because he's freaking amazing, and I actually just subscribed to that earlier. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. And then the other one was Trickywi. Go subscribe to her, because she is just amazing. But both of them did the strip down challenge, and they're actually kind of my inspiration for doing it. And they also, both of them had some influence, along with a couple of other YouTubers, they were some of the inspiration, along with some other YouTubers and such, for us to actually start this channel up. We wanted to, but they kind of helped us gather ideas, and they kind of, I guess they're kind of iconic. We kind of look up to them. For us, they're really kind of inspirational. They keep, they entertain us. And, we just, I love YouTubers like that. That's why, and the 3 that come to mind right off the bat are Trickywi, Shadypenguinn, and Nate Wants to Battle. All 3 of them had a lot of influence in this channel becoming a reality. A very small reality at this point, but a reality nonetheless. And, I actually have to thank them for their influence, for just being the fantastic people that they are. I don't really know what else to say. I think I'm kind of at a loss. And okay, that's it. This is done. This is over. I have gone way too far. This has been ShadowRaven. I will see you guys later, and happy hunting.